Joe Hockey, thank you so much for joining me. Can you explain a contradiction to me? You've got the polls saying that Joe Biden is far and away the most popular man in this race, streeting Donald Trump. But when you have a look at the crowds going to the respective rallies, Joe Biden's got tumbleweeds and a dog, and Trump is talking to thousands of cheering fans. How do you explain that? What do we conclude from this amazing contradiction?
Well, Donald Trump's a phenomenal entertainer, and it's always a mystery, not only to the crowd, but probably at times to him, as to what he's going to say at the rallies. And that's part of the excitement. There's no doubt that when he speaks to a large number of Americans, he is saying what they are thinking. And frankly, a lot of Americans have had enough of being told what to say, what to think. They want to be heard, and Donald Trump repeats back to them the things that they want to hear.
So we're actually seeing Donald Trump simply appealing to a hardcore base that will stick with him through thick and thin, but basically it's just a small base. Or is this a sign that the polls may understate the true level of support? There are the shy voters that aren't saying that they'll vote for Trump, but they might come next week.
I definitely think there are shy Trump voters. I drove through a neighbourhood in the countryside here, and all I saw was Biden signs. And when I asked some of the people how the area voted, they said it was a very strong Trump area, but people weren't courageous enough to put out Trump signs. And I think that's very real across America. There are a large number of people in parts of America, particularly in the working class states like Pennsylvania, that are going to vote for Donald Trump, but they're not responding to pollsters, and they're certainly not responding to media inquiries. They're just going to quietly go on and vote for him. I think the numbers will be bigger than any of the polls suggest.
Well, one of the reasons, of course, for this shy voter factor is that the vilification, not to mention the violence that Trump supporters can face, particularly for not the violence, not so much, but the vilification from the media. If you listen to the ABC here day and night, it's telling us he's a liar, he's a sexist, he's a racist, he's a terrible person, he's embarrassment, he incites violence. The Donald Trump that you know and that you've met, how does that compare to the media image that you see?
Privately, he's quite different. I mean, he can be charming, but he also can be passive-aggressive as well. I've seen all the moods of Donald Trump, I must say, over the years, and look, but he can be incredibly charming privately. He was charming to me at times, but he got upset with me about various things at times as well. So that's pretty human. Publicly, he loves the battle, Andrew. He loves the fight. He is a pugilist. He wants to be in the ring. And when he's in the ring, he throws punches, and he throws them hard. And when he's out of the ring, he tends to say, well, good fight, well done. So for him, it is not only about, showing he can fight, but also importantly, showing that he has more energy than Joe Biden.
Now, how do you explain the Joe Biden campaign strategy? Does he think the more people see of Donald Trump, the more they'll vote against him, so he shouldn't go out there and make himself the target? Or is it just he really hasn't got the puff? He's only 5 years older than Donald Trump, but I've got to say, he radiates like he's 15 years older and not quite with us completely. How do you explain this amazing campaign strategy?
Well, it's working for him. Donald Trump has, over the last 3.5 years, maybe longer, obviously, made himself the issue. And for Democrats, it's an anti-Trump vote. It's not a particularly strong Joe Biden vote. I mean, you don't see a lot of car stickers, you don't see a lot of T-shirts, as you did with Hillary Clinton. It's actually more an anti-Trump vote and a pro-Trump vote. That's what it's come down to. And it is no longer about trying to convince the swing voter to go one way or the other. It's all about turnout. Now, I'll just make one point. Joe Biden opened the door in relation to fossil fuels, and he did that both in the debate and over the last couple of days. Joe Biden has just gone back to Pennsylvania, and he said, I am not opposed to fracking and I'm not opposed to the use of oil. That is the first defensive move I have seen from Joe Biden in the entire campaign. And it could be a turning point. I'm just flagging, it could be a turning point because Donald Trump is right on the offensive about fossil fuels and the cost of oil and fracking. And for the first time, Joe Biden is on the defensive. And in key states like Pennsylvania, that could make a big difference.
And if Trump loses, is that the last we hear of him? Does he ride out quietly into the sunset, or is he going to stick his head up in the media and fight?
If Donald Trump loses, he will remain one of the most influential figures, not only on the American political stage, but arguably on the world political stage. He will have more time to get around to countries like Brazil, countries in Eastern Europe, Israel, where he is much loved. And in the United States, he will remain hugely influential because I've never seen anyone with such enormous community support. Now, it might not be a majority, no doubt about that, but certainly, even if it's 35% of the population that are great believers in Trumpism, that is more influence than any other individual has had outside of being President of the United States in living memory. There's no doubt about that. And he will continue to engage with those Trump supporters, probably by setting up the Trump News Network. He certainly has the infrastructure there to do that. I can see late night television shows with Kellyanne Conway and Donald Trump Jr. and a range of others. He will have a ready-made target in the Biden administration. He has the capacity to divide the Republicans because there's no alternate voices in the Republican Party. And I think he'll, if he loses, probably declare pretty quickly that he'll run again in 4 years' time, which he's perfectly able to do if he loses the election.
If he did that, he'd still be younger than Joe Biden today. How about that? So interesting,
Gives
Joe
us all hope, Andrew.
You more than me, I think, Joe. Joe Hockey, lovely to catch up with you. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Great to see you again, Andrew. Take care.